So the two words you were given to brainstorm very recently were social media and home. What do you think about that?
Maryam, would you like to start, or you want me to begin?
I'm okay with both. But okay, I'm gonna start. So like in this time when we spend most of our time at home and also on our social media, these worlds seem to be like interconnected with each other, and it's mainly hard to distinguish because like most time we're either on social media or at home or both together. But I think that these worlds have like similarities and also can be seen as an antonyms as well. Because like being home means that you are who you are mainly, and being on social media you are who you want to be. You can be who you want to be, create your avatar who can have different characteristics, and sometimes it becomes even like equal as you and has their separate life. How you see these worlds together?
Yeah, it has to work together because we are actually at home and in social media sometimes in the same time. So I think that's interesting when you are at home, which is your very private space, and in the same time you are using your computer, you are in social media. So it's at first it looks like public space, social media, and home, private space. They are opposite each other. But in the same time, nowadays we feel more and more actually at home in social media. We move lots of our privacy to social media. We present ourselves, our images, our dreams, our ideas, how to deal with life and world on social media. So actually our private reflection, our intrapersonal communication, communication between me and I develops nowadays in social media, probably even more often than in the private space. Nowadays, we are forced to be at home, and we have a chance to reflect on mutual relationships between those two areas, because it's still, I think, important to know how to distinguish one from another, not to feel that much at home on social media, and in the same time try not to be closed at home but open towards the others. So this is it, this between in betweenness actually connecting them both.
I want to add that like I just checked our social media as the interface, and like what the creator decided why and when they use the word home on our interface. On Facebook, for example, when you press home, you go to the feed. You don't go on your personal profile, but it's mainly the feed where everyone jumps there. So mainly they changed the concept of home on the interface, so you feel home when you are in the like middle of the information and different pictures. And also on Instagram, when you press the home button, like down left corner there, you are also on the feed. So they took this notion of home and loneliness and like privacy to more like broader sense. And when you are within your community, you feel more like home.
Yeah. Uh, you know, I think that this issue has quite a long history already. I mean, when we think about internet, obviously, so it's coming from the 90s. But I remember some discussions from the mid 90s. This is a quarter of century already, but this is the time World Wide Web has existed with us. What does it mean actually to say something true? What doesn't mean to be sincere when you communicate on the internet? How to evaluate, how to judge the situation when you play the role on the internet, presenting yourself as someone you probably are not. But what does it mean to be or to perform? Because I remember the conversation with Lynn Hirschman. She was one of the first artists to seriously approach this issue. She asked a very serious question. She asked, what is true? A woman is talking about travels, about experiences, about adventures, moving to different locations, meeting people. In reality, she is just a housekeeper working for her husband and family. Is she lying? Or she may talk about what she always wanted to do, what was her dreams. So probably she's much honest, much more honest when she lie, when she just hide behind a mask than when she refers to her real everyday life, because she hates it. This is actually, she considered this like a catastrophe in life. So the problem of home, the problem of being honest in presenting a self, the problem of images we build for the others is absolutely very complicated nowadays.
Yeah, I was also thinking that there is a sort of duality in how people present themselves in social media. One part of it is absolutely this sort of staged life, as you're talking about. But I would say also that you can also achieve a sort of more, I don't know, an intimacy for people you maybe are not that close to, in seeing images of their home environments, and sometimes very, very personal experiences being shared with people who are, I don't know, maybe your neighbor or your work colleague, or people you would not necessarily interact that close with.
Yeah, but here, as Made mentioned, like I see there's like more connection and less conversation. I mean, it's more on surface when you feel like you know much people and you have connection, and that's what is the motto of social media. You know, when they say we connect people, but where's the conversation? Where's like difference when what is happening in the real life? And here comes another topic which can be connected to this, like embodiment, where's the notion of the body, and when you present it through social media, it's still like on demand. So used, even though it's like all digital, we'll still present ourselves through the bodies, and like how this is connected. And also the home button, which I mentioned, that's why the creators of social media use these strong metaphors, which are really tangible and which comes from the real life. And based on it, then we have this body image and also the home concept and the, all this tangible stuff, which kind of are reflection of the online online media. It's not like whole new world, but like some interpretation of it in different medium.
Yes, I think that when we have this set of terms, social media and home, it is actually pushing us towards thinking about online life, internet, digitality. But I think that we are in the very special times nowadays because of Anthropocene development, climate changes, mass migrations, which will develop if we can't manage to deal in a wise way with Anthropocene issues. We will face the extreme mobility of all the people, communities. So we will start to move from one place to another, looking for the chance to survive. So social media, in this sense, may become just a tool of communication, not the space we spend most of the time, but a tool to let us find another real world part we can move to. I think that we should consider the concept of home slightly movable. We should think about moving homes, about finding homes, about looking for new home, like something very, very obvious and necessary. The development of social media made the concept of border completely obsolete. And at the same time, we are actually forced to stay in some places. This is like the difference between identity and the request to identification. We always approach formally this way, that our identity actually doesn't interest anybody, but people just want to know where we are coming from, why we are coming here. Are we entitled to take this space from those who were born here? So I think that home nowadays should be considered in the most widest perspective as just our planet. We should move toward planetary consciousness, and home should become the whole world without borders. It sounds very unreal, especially now. I couldn't use few tickets, plane tickets, air tickets. I was planning to travel some places. I didn't go anywhere. The border of my country is closed, and the borders of countries I wanted to go are also closed. So nowadays we are like in the prison. Georgia Gamben was talking about this a few weeks ago, and he was attacked that he didn't consider our pandemic seriously, but we should think about the relationship between safety and freedom. How much of our freedom we are going to offer to be safer? I think that we are losing our agency to decide where is our home, where and what we want to do. This is actually the most important topic. I see, Madeleine, you wanted to join.
Yes, we have a question. I know Maryam is very active on social media, and we have a question in the chats asking, is there a way of feeling home in social media? And if so, what does that look like?
I mean, I can't generalize the question, but like from my perspective, like at home, you know what to wait. You know when you are going there, you know where it is located and who are waiting there. And in this context, social media is more or less the same. So you have this also the amazement because some new stuff happening there, but also you have the community there. So you create your kind of bubble there. So you know what kind of information, what kind of mindset will be there. So it's kind of opening the fridge every time. You know what can be there, but you're still interested to find out stuff. And like also the brands, because I was working as a social media manager, are trying to make their pages and their brands more like home-like, more familiar. That's why they started to talk like with more informal way and create brand personas instead of like some institutions who are talking to you like from pedestal, you know. And like I want to use this opportunity to like talk a bit about the project which me and my group mates created for in-betweenness, Mediate, this exhibition. It's called the Voice Yards, and I think that it has a strong connection with this home notion, and I would encourage you to check voiceyards.online. So like interface for this we made is so like building like with its windows and everything. And now as I saw my keywords to brainstorm here is home, I just realized that our group, without thinking about it too much, we created the environment where people would feel like home with this like windows and this covers which are more like cozy. So we would encourage them to upload and record their own voice, because the voice is something so intimate and so private that you need this home notion. So you are at home and no one is watching you and no one is judging you, and you can be who you are. And it was a good connection that I noticed that we also made it like home, like literally. I mean, it's a building.
Yes, that was very beautiful. We have another question that maybe could be linked to that. Maybe you can answer that, Ryszard. Can you be homeless on the internet?
Oh, it's very easy, I would say. When you browse and you can't find anything you would like to join, when you think that everybody is running opposite direction you would like to follow, when you read some unpleasant hating statements, you think that you are homeless there. But you know, this is very personal. Myself, I would prefer to distinguish between home and social media. I really don't want to approach social media as it is home. I maybe, but this is I was born before internet, and I managed to develop some ideas and some approaches toward the world before I could just experience this new possibility. So I was already formatted when I jumped into internet. So I'm still looking for something else. I'm still looking for something internet, social media are still unable to provide.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, we should admit that this all social media web in general has some infrastructure which we can't escape from. So, like, we don't create the interface; we create the content for it. So that can't be for everyone. Someone can't really just don't want to match with it. And when you are like on certain social media, there's an option to upload visual and text. There's no option to upload voice, for example. And like in this extent, it limits you somehow, and you can feel homeless in this sense that there's nothing for you to express, and that's why lots of other infrastructures are creating nowadays. But still, I totally imagine being lost in internet is like so easy.
Yeah, wow, this is very interesting. We have already been talking for 20 minutes. So if I'm going to do a very short wrap up, we have been talking about the way social media breaks sort of the idea of borders, geographical borders, but maybe also creating other borders among people, among groups of people. Do you agree with that? And do you have any final comments for this?
Yes, definitely. Yes, because of not only social media, but the communication tools, digital networking, we are living beyond borders. We can meet people, talk to the people, but in the same time, when we talk about social media in particular, we actually see how many walls are being built everywhere. Like people just try, you know, this famous information bubbles. People just think that everybody thinks as they do, because they have no chance to listen to those who think differently. And this is because of the walls built, technological walls, algorithmic walls, and just mental, political walls built everywhere. That's the biggest problem, and social media can't solve it by its sociality. It's not enough.
Yeah.
And I want to just add that I think that the creators of the social medias know these problems as well, and they like step by step try to just suggest some tools. And recently I checked that there's a option on Facebook where you can scroll alternative feed. So it's not your like bubble, but you can just go and scroll like specific mindset of people's wall. And there's also options for explore, where you just have the random content. So not from your friend, but from other people. So from these tools, like they suggest you to see stuff from other perspective, from the perspective of the people who you would never agree, for example.
Okay, wow, that's interesting. So maybe they are changing in a more open direction to sort of end this world of bubbles.
Yeah, but not a lot of people want to check like not similar mindsets, people opinions, like whole thing, you know. So it's about people more now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I want to thank both of you very much for joining this short conversation on social media and home and their interbetweenness. So thank you, and thank you to everyone who commented on the chat. I'm sorry we can't take all the questions. Have a good night, you two, and stay tuned for the last session today at 8. But
thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.